Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. So we'll stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Welcome. Let's have a roll call.
Kevin Ryman.
Here.
Michael Cox.
Here.
Peter Hansel.
Here.
Jamie Girardi.
Here.
Roberto Sides.
Here.
Chris Williams.
Here.
Chairman Charles Gray.
I'm here. Okay, so we want to read the proof of publication.
The items were published in the Tampa Bay Times on January 11, 2019.
All right. So anybody who plans to give testimony today, if you stand and raise your right hand and be sworn, please. Anybody who wants to come up and speak today?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have minutes that need to be approved? Anyone? I didn't see any.
Does not appear that you have minutes to approve.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't.
all right. Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everybody and just tell you what we're doing here today. The Planning Commission is appointed by the County Commissioners, and we meet twice a month. We serve as a local planning agency, and we hold public hearings and transmit to the Board of County Commissioners recommendations on the comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezonings, and conditional use requests. Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for special exceptions, certain appeals, variance requests, and certain alternative standard requests. However, the final decision may be appealed to the Board of County Commissioners. If anyone is in opposition to any comprehensive plan amendment, land development code amendment, rezoning, conditional use, or any item where the Planning Commission transmits a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, it's important for you to attend the appropriate County Commission meeting. For those of you who are not familiar with the procedures, I'll go over them briefly. We have continuances. It's been our custom to approve a request for continuance by the applicant or the staff unless there are extenuating circumstances, such as the convenience of the affected parties. We also have a consent agenda, items where we haven't received no letters of objection from the public or from the staff will be placed on the consent agenda and will be read item by item. If you wish an item to be pulled from the consent agenda, raise your hand, and with that item will be pulled for discussion. Absent any objections, those items will remain on consent and voted on at one time. Then we have regular items. Those items not placed on consent or approved for continuance will be part of the regular agenda and will be discussed one at a time. Applicants will have 3 minutes to make their presentation, and objectors will have 3 minutes to state their concerns. Following the presentation, presenters will be given 5 minutes to respond. If there has been a request at least 24 hours before this meeting for additional time, that time may be granted. Before we start the regular meeting, we open the meeting for public comment on items not appearing on the agenda but pertinent to this body. Is there anyone who's here for public comment? You know one? Okay, so I think we're ready.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission members. Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. First item on your agenda is PDD 19-7387, and it's a zoning amendment. The name of Connerton Village 2 MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District, and it's a rezoning request from an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District to an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District in order to extend the expiration date of the master plan unit development and to reallocate dwelling units within neighborhoods on approximately 949.3 acres. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from Planning and Development Department.
Okay. Is the applicant present? Is anyone here to object? No objections? Okay. Was this on the regular agenda?
This is the one on your consent agenda. This is the only item on your consent agenda.
Okay.
The other item, you're sitting as a local planning agency.
Okay. All right. So we have no objections. Do I hear a motion?
Move for approval. Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Now, on this item, you're sitting as a local planning agency on this item. This is a ordinance by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, amending the Land Development Code, Chapter 900, Development Standards, amending Section 901.8, Pedestrian Facilities, and creating new subsections 901.6.E.5, Standards for Driveways for Residential Construction, and 901.6.E.6, Standards for Paver Driveways and Sidewalks, providing for applicability, repealer, severability, inclusion into the Land Development Code, and an effective date. The reason why we're here on this item is that the Land Development Code does not currently allow brick paver driveways or sidewalks in the county's right-of-ways. Basically, Land Development Code states that it has to just be of asphalt or concrete construction. And absent those regulations, what we've been doing internally as staff as a workaround is that we've asked applicants to apply for an alternative standards to the code section, and also asked them to apply for a license and maintenance agreement. And these are onerous processes, and our development community and our residents have asked for us to incorporate regulations into the Land Development Code to allow for brick paver driveways and sidewalks where they hit the county's right-of-way. And this proposed amendment sets clear standards for pavers, driveways, and sidewalks in the county's right-of-way, and this has been presented to the horizontal roundtable and the interested parties meeting on both April 18th of 2018 and December 19th of 2018. Additionally, we presented an introduction ordinance to the Board of County Commissioners on this item, where they have asked us to move forward on this, and that was on January 8th, 2019. And we're asking that the local planning agency today find the proposed amendments consistent with the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan and recommend approval of the amendments to the Board of County Commissioners. And we're here for any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions?
Denise, I just one quick question.
Sure.
So I don't have a concern with the ordinance, but from your presentation and in the agenda memo and the whereas clauses of the ordinance are all focused on the pavers. But there's a whole section of the ordinance that deals with, it appears to be creating new standards for driveways, whether they're pavers or not. In other
Yes.
words, they're brand new standards for driveways.
That's a correct statement. Let me clarify that point. Those standards are already in our right-of-way use permit, where when someone applies for and correct me if I'm wrong, Will Poon, when someone applies for a driveway connection or for a permit for a driveway, all those standards are already included in the permit. So when they get their permit approval, they're told that they have to meet all these standards with an actual exhibit, a depiction, and all that, and we're just codifying what is already provided to our applicant.
So I'm fine with all that. My point is your agenda memo doesn't say any of that.
Okay.
About why. It doesn't even mention that you're codifying
Okay.
driveway standards. And your whereas clause for your ordinance doesn't say that either. It just talks about the pavers. So I guess I'm saying I was a little surprised to see these whole new regulatory scheme on driveways when there's no mention of it in the agenda memo
Okay.
or the whereas clauses.
Okay, well, moving forward, I'll mention that it's something that is, we're just codifying existing practice, and I'll include some whereas clauses that will cover that.
Yeah, I think your
Item.
title's fine because it says you're amending
Yes.
that section of the code, and your ordinance is fine. It just, it wasn't obvious to me from the PowerPoint or agenda memo that you were
Understand.
doing something else.
Understand.
Okay.
So should we incorporate that now before we?
Well, it really has nothing to do with consistency with the comp plan, which is
Okay.
your role. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure that she's aware of that. I think she knows how to make the correction
Yes, I do.
between now and the board meeting.
All right,
So can I ask a question, Chuck?
sure, Mike.
In the, your figure that's included in the ordinance, you're showing split car garages, two-car garages, circular driveways. Is a single-car driveway included in that, or?
The single-car driveway is the one that's explained on the second figure, or so the single-car driveway would be 12 feet. And I think what I may want to do on these figures possibly is write the word max, so that folks understand that that's a maximum. Do you agree with that, Mr. Wilpoon? This is actually, this figure is already part of our driveway connection permit application, and we just wanted to codify this item.
Okay, so what you're doing, I'm sorry, Roberto. So what you're doing is if somebody has a single car driveway and garage, then you're just going to utilize that one section there, the 12-foot thing.
Yes.
What about requirements for certain amount of, I see that you have requirements in here for lime rock and all that, but compaction requirements or anything of that nature?
Let
For
me have
driveway,
Will
because I
come
know
up
that
and talk about
pavers,
those.
that's pretty critical.
Wilpoon, PE, current planning department. So your question in regards to the pavement section for concrete pavers, in the ordinance, it specifies either to manufacturer specifications or the engineer specifications.
Okay.
So. Any other
We
questions?
still need engineers sign and seal by a PE plans to do the driveway, or you don't request that?
Well, I mean, usually, like I said, there's manufacturer specifications, and if there is an engineer involved in their design, they can
The
also.
reason of my question is, the engineer is liable in case some issues happen with the sub base and how it's going to be designed between the engineer and the contractor. But again, we are not here as a design shop. We need to just basically receive the plans for a professional designer, and he is the one to carry with the liability.
Correct, and those are plans are submitted through the right-of-way use permit, is through an engineer or
Okay.
the professional designer. So those things are covered
Mhm.
as part of the right-of-way use permit and in accordance to this ordinance here.
Thank you.
Any other
Okay,
questions?
any other questions? All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Is there a motion?
Approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I was making a motion for you.
I don't have an agenda. You're gonna have to.
That is the last item.
Okay. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
You have one already. You already made one.
Oh, okay, made one?
Chris made it second.
Half of us have left.
Chris already made it three
Again?
times.
Again.
All right, we're adjourned.